it going, guys? And welcome back to what is a brand new video on the channel. We have got the next one, my 2025-26 Premier League predictions, as it starts later on today with the Liverpool-Bournemouth kickoff Friday night. So the categories for this are as follows: relegation, then lower mid-table / surviving. Relegation, obviously 20th to 18th. Lower mid-table / surviving from 17th up to 13th. Higher mid-table, 12th to 8th. Then 7th and 6th is the Conference League and Europa League spaces. 5th to 2nd, the Champions League spaces. And then first, my Premier League title winners. So yeah, let's get underway with this then, shall we? We're going to start off with 20th and go from bottom to top. This is the easiest pick on the list. I'm going to put it out there now. In 20th, I have got Burnley. I don't want to sound disrespectful or anything, but when you've got Scott Parker as your manager in the Premier League, then that already pretty much guarantees you relegation, in my honest opinion. He doesn't know how to do it in the Premier League. He does in the Championship. He doesn't in the Premier League. Burnley this season, I think, are going to be this season's Southampton. Maybe better than that Southampton team, because to be fair to Burnley, I actually think they have had some good business, like Kyle Walker, like Martin Dubravka. Them losing James Trafford to Man City, though, I do think is a blow. Armando Broja comes in. Axel Tuanzebe comes in. But it's still not enough, in my opinion. Parker's pragmatism won't be enough, despite the signing of 13 million winger Luam Twachuma, however you pronounce it. But yeah, it all won't be enough. They're going straight back down, in my honest opinion. So, and they're the most stubborn club in the league, and one of the most stubborn in the country. I've got Burnley to come dead last, straight away. Also, given the large gap now between the Premier League and the Championship, this, I think, will be inevitable for Burnley at the same time as well. However, I do think this season, and I pray I'm right on this, because otherwise it's going to make the Premier League the most boring league in the world at this point. I reckon the gap will finally break this season, meaning I don't see all three promoted clubs going straight back down. I just bloody hope that's the case, because it's making the Premier League less and less competitive year by year. If all three go straight back down this season, then the FA have got to do something regarding that to make the league way more fairer. In 19th, I've got Wolves. Obviously, to be fair to Vitor Pereira, he rescued Wolves this season, last season, considering Gary O'Neill was on the verge of taking them relegated, and it would have been different three that would have gone down. I think if Gary O'Neill was still in charge of Wolves at the moment, I think Wolves would be in the Championship this season. I think, and one of Ipswich or Leicester would have stayed up. But here's how I see it. I know they've signed Strand Larsen officially this season, which I totally get, but Mateus Cunha and Ryan Aït-Nouri literally contributed to 55% of Wolves' goals last season. A lot to replace, even with 90 million. This could be a harsh reality check on them. Aït-Nouri's gone to Man City. Cunha's gone to Man United. Pablo Sarabia's gone to Saudi. Craig Dawson's gone. Nelson Semedo's gone. I really feel this is the year Wolves will finally go down. Surely this is the year Wolves finally go down. And they've been in the Premier League since 2018-19. I mean, last season they were so close. And I know this almost happened with Everton a few years ago, where I thought they were becoming a sinking ship. Everton would eventually go down. Everton, I feel, have fixed those problems meanwhile. But now I think Wolves are in these problems. Wolves have been on a slow decline since 22-23, and I just feel it's going to get worse for them. And knowing Wolves, if they start the season terribly, he'll get sacked, Vitor Pereira, and they'll try and bring someone else in. But this time, I don't think it'll work out for them, especially with all the outgoings. I've got Wolves to come 19th. And then in 18th, the final relegation spot, I have Brentford. This might come back to bite me, considering I had Brentford to go down last season, and that came back to bite me, considering how poor the bottom three really were. But this time, I really feel they could go down. They're going to lose that togetherness that they've had all these years with Thomas Frank, ever since they got promoted in 2021. Mbeumo's gone to Man United. Johan Vizeh is about to move out as well. I believe Newcastle are the runners to sign him, but he's looking to leave. Ben Mee is gone. Christian Norgaard's gone to Arsenal. The only thing I will give Brentford though, they've signed Kelleher from Liverpool, which I think is a very good signing, to become their #1 keeper to replace Mark Flecken, and he's a better keeper than Mark Flecken as well. And they've also brought in Jordan Henderson. A bit of experience there too. But will it be enough? Because there is exits on and off the pitch, and the left field appointment of Keith Andrews may spell a season's recalibration, and that is why I've got Brentford to go down in 18th. Okay, in 17th, I have Sunderland. I hope I'm right on this, because it would be such a brilliant story with them being back in the Premier League for the first time since 2016-17. Regis Labrie maybe doesn't have the experience, but bloody hell, they've had a bloody good window, Sunderland have. They're doing everything they can to make sure the gap from the last 2 seasons is going to be erased. Joby Bellingham might have gone to Borussia Dortmund, but who they have brought in though looks impressive. Club record signing Habib Diarra is a coup in midfield. Experienced players like Arthur Masuaku comes in, Mark Guiu from Chelsea comes in, Enzo Laffi from Roma is now permanent, and best of all, they've brought in Granit Xhaka from Bayer Leverkusen. That is some signing by Sunderland, and he knows the Premier League off the back of his head. They look on set to sign Nordi Makile from PSG as well, as personal terms are about to be agreed. That is some signing if they pull that off as well. I think they'll do it. They may lack experience, but I have been impressed by their window, and I can't lie, this might sound biased, but I don't want to back the same team promoted teams to go straight back down. It's so boring. I want it to change for once, and I think it will. Sunderland to come 17th. Okay, in 16th, I have gone with West Ham. The most mismanaged club in the whole league. They've been on a downward spiral ever since David Moyes left, and with Graham Potter coming in. I thought the appointment of Graham Potter was going to revitalise West Ham in a way, given that he did brilliantly for Brighton, then underperformed for Chelsea, which in a way isn't surprising because he was expected to deliver for Chelsea, so there was a lot of pressure on him. The move to West Ham is less pressure on him, but he's done horrendous at the Hammers. I don't see that improving any time this season. I wouldn't be surprised if they finish lower. I think West Ham are genuinely one injury away from being in serious trouble. Like, if something happens to one of their star players, like Jared Bowen, for example, they really could be in trouble this season. Mads Hermansen from Leicester is their new goalkeeper #1 after all the speculation that Michael Cooper could have been joining the Hammers. Also coming in is Callum Wilson from Newcastle. Kyle Walker-Peters from Southampton, but they have lost one of their star players, Mohamed Kudus, just across East London to North London to sign for Spurs. I do think that's a little bit of a blow for West Ham. Mikel Antonio has finally called it a day as well. My problem with West Ham is that they've got a lot of talented players in their team, such as Crescencio Somerville, Jared Bowen, Lucas Paqueta, and Thomas Souček. But the problem is, they don't know how to work or play as a team, and they only do when David Moyes is their manager. So, yeah, I do think they'll struggle. But because of the quality that they do have, that's why I don't see them going down. But bloody hell, they are getting worse. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. But I think they will stay up with the quality they have. I've got West Ham to come 16th. In 15th, I have Leeds, who I think will finish highest of the promoted clubs. I can't see any promoted club being higher than 15th, I'll be brutally honest. Daniel Farke, like Scott Parker, though, doesn't have a great record in the Premier League. He got Norwich straight back down. The difference is, though, he'll have a much bigger budget this time with bringing Leeds back up for the first time since 22-23. They do need a better goalkeeper, though, Leeds, considering how poor Ilan Meslier has been last season. That's why they've gone on to sign Lucas Perry, who was Lyon's main goalkeeper last season, who has just signed for the Ellen Road faithful. Experience such as Sean Longstaff comes in as well from Newcastle, but they have lost Junior Firpo. But Sean Longstaff comes in from Newcastle. They've also signed a couple of Wolfsburg players as well. So you could technically call Leeds at this point Ellen Road instead calling them Volkswagen Road. But nah. I think they'll be okay. Because the owners, I think, a bit similar to Birmingham in the Championship and Wrexham in the Championship, the owners right now seem quite ambitious for Leeds. They have said the last few months that if it doesn't work out with Daniel Farke, they are on about bringing a name such as Jose Mourinho to come in at Ellen Road. And they were even considering sacking Daniel Farke even after they won the league, because I think the owners at Leeds are aware on how mental that gap is now between the Premier League and the Championship. That's why they were on about bringing Mourinho in. But because they've been on about bringing Mourinho in, that screams to me the ambition they have for not just this season, but potentially the long term for the next 2 or 3 seasons. And if it doesn't go to plan with Farke, then if they do bring in a big name like they said, that could be pivotal to their season. So yeah, and I think they'll be fine. And for me, they've got the strongest squad out of the 3 promoted clubs anyways. So they'll be more than fine in my opinion. They'll have their moments, but I think they'll be okay. I've got Leeds to come 15th. In 14th, I've got Nottingham Forest. They've hardly signed anyone, which I think will be crucial to their season. They've also got Europe that will distract them, which I think will put them lower as a result of that as well. All they've signed, really, that I know, is Angus Gunn as a backup to Matt Sells from Norwich, while Anthony Elanga has gone to Newcastle. It might be a bit of a harsh prediction, considering Nuno is such a top manager and I do rate him. But honestly, who cares if their top 7 finish came from bottom 8 XG data? For me, it's all about Forest for Europe this season, and I think that's what they're going to mainly focus on. Hence why I've got them bottom half as a result of that. Also, I thought they completely undeserve that Europa League spot, considering how UEFA's treated Crystal Palace. And this might sound a bit biased on this, but I actually kind of hope Forest don't have a good season, because I have not been impressed or happy with the way some of their fans have been treating Crystal Palace, given that ridiculous demotion they've got. And it's pathetic, to be honest. And this is where I felt going into these predictions. I reckon now after that, one of these clubs will have a good season. The other one will not have a good season, or at least underperform compared to what other people would predict. And I've got Forest to be that team that will underperform compared to others. But I do think they'll drop off. I do think they'll mainly focus on that Europa League, and it could cost them a top half finish. And I don't think they'll be anywhere near the same team as last season. So yeah, I've got Nottingham Forest to come 14th. In 13th, I've got Fulham. Again, they have not signed anyone, but also they've hardly lost anyone. And I feel like that Marco Silva needs assurances from above and more from Emile Smith-Rowe, plus a new striker if Fulham were to rise. So therefore, I do think they will be complete mid-table mediocrity as a result of that as well. They'll have no fears of going down, but they'll have no fears of Europe. They'll have no hope for going to Europe, in my honest opinion. They were close last season at times, and they did play some brilliant football at times. And I will give Fulham their due as a result of that. I just think with other clubs on who they've signed and recruitment-wise, I think that could drop Fulham down a little bit. But I wouldn't be surprised if they do finish a bit higher. This was a tough one, but considering I've been more impressed with other clubs' recruitment for the top half, that's why I've got Fulham where I've got them in 13th. In 12th, I've got Bournemouth. Jordi Petrovic is their new #1 goalkeeper, signed from Chelsea. But Milos Kerkez going to Liverpool and Zabarnyi going to Paris Saint-Germain, I think is a huge dent to the Cherries' chances if they want to get Europe this season. And arguably, they were unlucky not to qualify for Europe. The Cherries may find this a year trickier, though, due to sales and some clubs who I've got higher, because I think they've strengthened, while Bournemouth has weakened, in my opinion. But that's not going to stop them from competing, in my opinion, because Andoni Areola, I think, is a phenomenal manager. I wouldn't be surprised in the future if he gets a club, a top club, as a future manager in the next few years or something. I think he is a manager, honestly, on the rise. He's that good, in my opinion. And Bournemouth are a good side. I'm also confident that they will replace Zabani and Kirkes as the season goes along. Very well run. The owners care so much about that football club. The only reason I don't have them top half is because there's other clubs there who I've got top half who I think will go higher, because I think they have strengthened and will strengthen as the season goes along. But it doesn't mean that I still think this will be a good season for Bournemouth. They finished 9th last season, their best season in Premier League history. They'll be okay with a 12th place finish as well, in my honest opinion. So yeah, I've got the Cherries to come 12th. And then in 11th, wrapping up the bottom half, this will probably get comments, I know, because they are very well run and they know how to replace players. I've got Brighton, which they were tricky to place because I do rate Fabian Herzula as manager, but Estupiñán's gone, João Pedro's gone, Evan Ferguson's gone. Evan Ferguson's gone to Roma, João Pedro's gone to Chelsea. A bit of a blow for Brighton, but Brighton know how to replace players. They also know how to recruit players from the international market very well. And I think they're trying to do that again this season. I wouldn't be surprised if they're top half again as a result of that. I mean, last season, I will admit, I completely underpredicted Brighton. I put them 14th for crying out loud, and they finished 8th. They had a good season. I just don't know whether they will quite replicate what they did last season. And there's other teams who I think who look stronger, who I think will finish ahead of them. But I wouldn't be surprised if they do finish top half. They're going to be on the border between 11th all the way up to about 8th or 7th in my eyes. But they were very unlucky to miss a top half place in this predictions for me. But I do think they'll be up there again. I've got Brighton to come 11th. The thing is, João Pedro is replaceable, but will he be the last to leave? Europe is near if Herzula learns from errors. Okay, now starting the top half. In 10th, I've got Everton, who I think are finally going to be out of their banter era this season. The only question I ask for them, though, is how are they going to cope in their new stadium at Bramley-Moore Dock? Because David Moyes will miss Goodison Park's home comforts while rebuilding a squad almost from scratch. It might take time, but I think they'll have a good season. I've been very impressed with Everton's transfer window. Jack Grealish comes in from Man City. Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall comes in from Chelsea, which I think is a perfect move for him, because for me, the only reason he moved to Chelsea was to play under Enzo Maresca like he did at Leicester, and it didn't work out. He didn't get in the team at all. Everton, I think, will be a more suited team for his level. Carlos Alcaraz comes in, former Southampton player, but Dominic Calvert-Lewin's gone, as has Abdoulaye Doucouré. But I think they'll be fine. Pickford, in my opinion, is still one of the best keepers in the league. I don't care what anyone says. I will stand by that. They've kept hold of both Branthwaite and Mykolenko. And for some reason, I just have this sense that I think Everton will be even stronger in January. Also, David Moyes knows how to get this club into Europe. He's done it over the last few years before in my lifetime, back in the 2000s. Why can't he do it again? He's rebuilt that club, in my opinion. I genuinely think they are my dark horses this season, Everton. I do think they're going to have a good season. I've got them to come top half in 10th. In 9th, I've got Tottenham, who I think were really hard to predict, I'll be brutally honest. Ange's gone, and they are coming into this season as Europa League champions. I do think they will have a better season this season than last season's absolute horrendous horror show. Especially that Spurs will have Champions League to distract them anyways. So I do think they'll improve regardless, but not by much. Also, after 9 years at the club and being a club legend for them, Heung-min Son has finally left the club, which means Tottenham this season are going to solely rely on Dominic Solanke to deliver full-time for Spurs this season if they want to finish any higher than what happened last season. Thomas Frank comes in as their new manager, and obviously he knows how to get 9th place anyways. He's done it with Brentford before. He is a very good manager. I just don't think Spurs have had quite the window that I thought they were going to have. The only thing I will give Spurs is that they've had a better window than Newcastle, to put it that way. Mohamed Kudus from West Ham comes in. João Palhinha on loan from Bayern Munich comes in, which I don't think is a bad loan at all, to be fair to them. But other than that, I really don't see them doing that much, to be honest with you. Also, they were meant to sign Morgan Gibbs-White from Nottingham Forest, and that failed through completely, and I think that is going to hinder them big time. I also think there's going to be 8 stronger sides than Spurs this season. So that's why I've got them where I've got them. I think most Tottenham fans might be all right with 9th anyways, though, or 8th or something. I mean, it's an improvement from last season at least anyways, isn't it? But I don't think they've done enough to challenge any higher, in my honest opinion. And that's why I've got them where I've got them. I've got Spurs to come 9th. And then in 8th, I've got the other horrendous club from last season. I've got Manchester United to come 8th. Very hard to predict as well, I can't lie, considering they're a mess. They're going into this season as an absolute mess. But I can't lie, despite the mess they're in, I've actually been quite impressed with United's summer, I'll be brutally honest. Despite the fact that Ineos doesn't care about the club, Jim Ratcliffe doesn't care about the club, and then the Glazers alongside that. And that's why United's been such a sinking ship the last 2 seasons, and them not getting Europe will be impact on them. It will impact the club big time. But also, I think it could benefit them as well. Their signings haven't actually been that bad. Mbeumo from Brentford, Cunha from Wolves, Sesko as their new striker. That will be United's new front three going into this season. However, I think what Amorim is trying to do for United is getting rid of all the deadwood, like what Chelsea did in 2023, for example. Rashford is now gone. Lindelof is now gone. Garnacho's about to leave. He's got a massive attitude problem as well. But what United do need, though, in my opinion, and this is where I do think they do lack compared to Spurs, meanwhile, they do need a new goalkeeper. Because I don't think United fans are going to be able to trust Bayenda and especially Onana for a whole season. It looks... They want to sign Gianluigi Donnarumma from PSG. And if they do sign Donnarumma, then this could be a different scale, United. I could put them even higher. But Man City are also interested in Donnarumma, which would be mad considering they've just made James Trafford as their new number 1. So if Donnarumma came in, he'd be in to replace Ederson. United were really tricky. They were really tricky to do. If that front three can work together and play football with Bruno and Amad Diallo alongside that, who I personally thought single-handedly, or double-handedly as I should say, carried United's season last season, then I do see them improving. And Amorim is trying to do everything he can to dissect what is everything wrong at that football club to make them better again. I can't lie, I've had United bottom half for most of my summer until they brought in these signings, which I don't think have been that bad. But I won't be surprised if this prediction comes back to bite me, considering if United do finish bottom half this season, that just shows that there's something wrong with the club, and the ownership, as it is now anyways, is a mess. And that is what's United's downfall at the moment. I've got Man United to come 8th. Okay, in 7th, this will surprise a lot of people, I know, but these are my dark horses this season. In 7th, I've got Crystal Palace. Yes, I know there's uncertainty over star men such as Eberechi Eze, who's been linked to move to Arsenal, and also their own future might slow Palace's top half bid, but they're still impressive as they are, and I don't see why not they can aim for top half this season. I know the Conference League will distract them because it's European football after all, and Palace have done so well to get European football after winning the FA Cup because of that. But they should be in the Europa League, not the Conference League. And I personally think the reason I have Palace in 7th, quite high, more than most people would put them, like around 12th or 11th. The reason I have them in 7th is because I think that demotion and that corruption from UEFA to put Palace into the Conference League is going to make that entire club, fan base and community so angry to the point where I genuinely think it will be their best season in Premier League history. The only thing I do think will hinder Palace, though, is that I do think they lack quality up front compared to other parts of their team. But if Guehi stays, Eze stays, they'll be up there this season. And I think they're going to be that angry from the way UEFA's treated them. I think they will do one better and actually secure a place in Europe for a change. And the Europa League, that they deserve for a change. That's also if someone ahead of them wins the FA Cup. But you know what I mean. I genuinely think they're going to have a good season. They're a good side. Glasner's a brilliant manager. And I think they're going to be that angry from the way UEFA's treated them. I do think they're going to have a brilliant season and respond to that by having their best season in Premier League history. I've got Crystal Palace to come 7th. And now the top 6, who I think will be this season's top 6. Just like last season, I just think these 6 are by far and away, in my opinion, the 6 strongest sides and 6 best managers in the league going into this season. And I think they will be to the top 6 as a result of that. So let's get on with it though. In 6th, I have got Newcastle. I should be putting them higher considering after the way last season ended. I genuinely think Newcastle, Newcastle, that throughout this whole summer would go and do one better. And I think they'd challenge the league this season. And with the team that Eddie Howe is building as well. But their summer has been an absolute catastrophe. And I think that is the main reason that's going to cost the Geordies of a title challenge this season. They've had a horrendous window, Newcastle. The only way I can see Newcastle rescue it is if they recruit strongly in January. But Isak wants to leave. Liverpool are desperate to sign him. Isak wants to leave. They're not signing anyone apart from Elanga and Jacob Ramsey from Aston Villa. Other than that, it's been a really poor window for Newcastle. And that could be crucial going into this season. And the Magpies are a few judicious signings away from ascending to the top of the league. They are set to fly with the money and backing they've got as well with the Saudi owners. But I think it'll be a season too early. I really do. And they've had a horrendous window and I think that will cost them. But I'm not going to underestimate them at the same time because like Argyle, they are so strong at home, but they do lack away. And I do think the other 5 teams will do better than them. It's not been a good window for them at all, but I do think they will be a comfortable 6th at least. I've got Newcastle to come 6th. In 5th, I have Aston Villa. Villa do have top 4 quality, to be fair, but they could be distracted by potentially lifting the Europa League if that is what they're going to focus on. And it will be Emery's 5th Europa League as a result of that, considering he is so successful in that competition as it is. It may still focus from them, but it doesn't mean I think they'll challenge the top 4 again this season. And to be fair to Villa, they've done very well to keep hold of their main star men. Emiliano Martinez has been linked to move to Manchester United. They've kept him. Ollie Watkins has been linked to move to Newcastle to replace Isak. They've kept him. And Morgan Rogers has been linked to move to Arsenal, which they've kept him as well. So Villa's done very well as a result of that as well. They've got a good side for crying out loud. They should be challenging for the top 4 again, in my honest opinion. Like I said, I think these 6 are far and away the strongest 6 sides in the league. And I think they will be the strongest 6 again going into this season. But I do think the Europa League might distract Villa from that top 4. And the top 4 that I do have, I think are going to be the strongest teams this season and pull away from everyone else. Villa and Newcastle, I think, will be comfortable 5th and 6th. But I wouldn't underestimate Villa either, though. Like Newcastle, Villa's hardly made any signings, though. But they've hardly lost anyone as well. I'm going to go 5th for Villa. And I've got them to pip Newcastle because if it is the case where Isak's attitude of leaving Newcastle and wanting to leave Newcastle could hinder that whole entire squad. And I've got Villa to pip Newcastle as a result of that. I've got Aston Villa in 5th. Here we go then. The top 4 who I think are going to challenge for the Premier League title this season. And I can't lie, I think this could be in any order. And this was really hard for me to pick on which order I go with. In 4th, I have gone with Man City. I don't want to underestimate them because obviously you know what City's like, you know what Pep is like. But this was really hard for me to put City in 4th, to be honest. The Club World Cup hangovers might cost them. Rodri's out injured again, which I think could cost them the league. And also, it's their first season without Kevin De Bruyne, which I think could be a huge miss for City going into this season. A bit like what John Terry was when it was Chelsea's first season without him. That could hinder City, in my honest opinion. That doesn't mean, though, that their signings and recruitment have been very good again. because they have made some very good signings. Aït-Nouri comes in from Wolves, Cherki comes in from Lyon, Rangers comes in from AC Milan, and there's speculation, but there is strong speculation that this will be Ederson's final season at the club, and they've signed James Trafford from Burnley to potentially be City's future number one, although there has been rumours that they're about to sign Gianluigi Donnarumma from PSG, and if they do, I don't know why I've put City in fourth, because I think they'll be even higher if they sign him. I hope Chelsea sign him instead, but we will see. We will see. I don't see it, though. For some reason, I don't see it, though, because then it's just pointless on Trafford, isn't it? When he's been brought in to play for City as a result of that. This could very well be Pep's final season at the club, and I wouldn't be surprised if it is, especially if City don't win the league this season. I also think this could also be Ederson's final season, given the speculation surrounding him. This was really hard to call, though, because it wouldn't surprise me, though, if this is Pep's final season and he goes out of City with a bang by winning the league again. But I don't think they're the same team they once were. But I won't be surprised if they do better, though. Rodri's out again. And this is their first season without De Bruyne, and I think that's what will cost them. But I do think, like I said, the top four will be tight. I've got Manchester City to come fourth. I also think, because this is Pep's final season, I think they'll strongly focus on the Champions League more than the Premier League. And if Pep is to leave City at the end of the season, that would be some way to end his time there. I'm going to go City fourth. City's actually one of the most pressured clubs, in my opinion, going into this season. But I would argue that they're nowhere near as pressured as the team that I've got in third in my predictions. The team I've got to come third is Arsenal. On that note, actually, I think City's the third most pressured team going into this season, behind Liverpool and Arsenal. But I think Chelsea's the least pressured of the four to perform. Arsenal, for me, though, is the most pressured club going into this season. If they don't do it this year, I genuinely think that's Arteta gone. They've got their man as well, Victor Gyökeres. They've been urging to get a striker for seasons now. And the last 3 seasons, they haven't had a striker, and yet have consecutively come second the last 3 seasons. Obviously, in 22-23, I honestly thought they were going to win it. And they fell short at the end. So, I reckon, from Arsenal's perspective, now that they've got that striker, and now that this is Arteta's 6th season at the club, 6th full season at the club, they have to deliver if they want to win the league. And it's not just Gyökeres that comes in. Zubimendi comes in as well. Great signing by Arsenal. He's going to be instrumental to their season. Christian Norgard comes in from Brentford. Noni Madueke comes in from Chelsea. Kepa also comes in from Chelsea as backup to David Raya, who I personally think is the best keeper in the league. Arsenal's starting 11 is so strong. That team can win the league. But will the pressure get to them? Because there is huge pressure on Arteta going into this season. And for me, he is the most pressured manager going into this season. If Arsenal don't win it this season, even with now the striker they have wanted for years, I reckon he's gone. A fit Bukayo Saka will help Arsenal in a genuine title race. But I just think the 2 that I have ahead of Arsenal will look stronger. And that could hinder them. And also Arteta's uncertainty in future. But we'll see. We'll see. I've got Arsenal to come third. In second, I've got Chelsea. My favourite Premier League team, up the Chelsea. I don't think it's going to be the league, though. I'm very confident for Chelsea going into this season, but I don't think it's enough. Levi Colwill is out for the whole season due to ACL. And I think that is solely the reason I don't think Chelsea's going to win the league. That Club World Cup total domination over who, in my opinion, the best team in the world is in Paris Saint-Germain tells me everything that I really see Chelsea getting stronger this season. My only question to that is, though, can Robert Sanchez finally be the goalkeeper that he was in that final against PSG for the whole season, because I think that is going to be what's going to either cost Chelsea this season or what's going to make Chelsea serious title challengers this season. I wouldn't be surprised at all. I don't care if I sound biased here. Chelsea, I personally think, have the strongest midfield in the league. Enzo Fernandez, Romeo Lavia, Moises Caicedo, with Cole Palmer just in front. 2 new strikers signed as well, João Pedro and Liam Delap from Ipswich, who I think are very good signings in my opinion. That could push Nicholas Jackson out of the door. Even if he does stay at Chelsea though, that is at least backup for Chelsea. It's Nkunku who will get pushed out of the team completely, because I don't rate him at all for Chelsea meanwhile. Jorel Hato from Ajax I think is a great signing. That could be crucial into Chelsea's season. The only bit I'm annoyed at though, and I purely say this for the season under Pochettino, I really hoped Petrovic stayed. And I would have been so confident going into this season. And the other thing that annoys me is that Chelsea were linked with Mike Maignan back in June to sign from AC Milan. Never materialised at the end. I'm fuming about that. But if the Donnarumma rumours are true, it could be even better for Chelsea. The squad depth is ridiculous despite Colwill's ACL injury. I think the squad depth at Chelsea is better than Arsenal's. It's better than City's. The only thing that could lack for Chelsea is the starting lineup compared to those two. But I'm confident in Chelsea this season. I'm going to back the boys to come second. The only reason I don't have Chelsea to win the league is because of Colwill's ACL injury. And I think Chelsea will run Liverpool close as a result of Chelsea's squad depth. And I think Chelsea will miss out just because of Colwill's ACL injury. But I'm very confident in the team. I'm very confident in the team, especially after seeing that Club World Cup final against Paris Saint-Germain. I'm very confident in the team. I wouldn't be surprised, though, typical Chelsea, if Chelsea didn't focus on the league and focused on the Champions League instead. But we'll see. I'm confident for Chelsea going into this season. Chelsea, for me, are the least pressured going into this season compared to Arsenal, Liverpool and Man City. And I think Chelsea will benefit from Arsenal and Man City as a result of that as well. Enzo's a very underrated manager, Maresca. So I'm confident. I'm genuinely confident going into this season. I really am. I really am. But we'll see. But I have got Liverpool to come first. I've got Liverpool to win the league. And Colwill's ACL injury is why I think Chelsea will miss out to Liverpool. I mean, I'm sorry. I know they're the huge favourites going into this season, but that squad depth is ridiculous. That's also why I think it will be between Liverpool and Chelsea this year, not Arsenal and Man City. Like, that squad depth from Liverpool is ridiculous, and the signings have been absolutely mental. Ekitike comes in, Kirkez comes in, Isak looks set to join Liverpool from Newcastle. Florian Wirtz comes in. Luis Diaz may have gone to Bayern Munich, but the incomings I've been so impressed with this window. And I'm going to be honest, given the tragedy that was Diogo Jota's death, may he rest in peace, by the way. What a player, and he was one of my favourite players for Liverpool. I think Liverpool will avenge that tragedy superbly this season. I think they're going to be desperate to push for that 21st league title and overtake Man United on league titles. I don't think they will wrap the league, though, as early as February, like they did last season, considering Arsenal, Chelsea and Man City are desperate to make their own team stronger, and I think they have to a certain extent. But that squad depth is stacked. I do think they'll defend it. I do think they'll defend their crown brilliantly, and I do think they will be the reigning champions. It might not all be over by February this time, but continuity sprinkled with class is a perfect Reds recipe. The question is, though, are they being too overhyped? Because they did lose that Community Shield to Crystal Palace. Guess time will tell, but I think they'll be okay. That squad depth is ridiculous. I do think Liverpool will win the league, despite being the massive favourites, massively overhyped, and the second most pressured club to deliver this season behind Arsenal. But I do think they will deliver. If Chelsea didn't have Colwill injured for the rest of the whole season, I might have said otherwise. And also if someone like Donnarumma came in. But that's who I think the title will be between those two, in my opinion. But we will see. I do think Liverpool have enough quality, though, to do it again. And that's why I've sadly got Liverpool to win the league and not Chelsea. But there we are. That's it. That is the Premier League 2025-26 predictions wrapped up on this video, guys. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you all in the next one. First off, up the Chelsea. Second off, as usual, up the Janners, up the Argyle, up the Greens, up the Pilgrims, up the Plymouth. Come on, you boys in green. Green Army. Also, before I leave, my dad's quite confident for Chelsea this season, so I'm also quite confident in that regards as well. But we will see. Thank you all for watching this one, and we will see you in the next one. Have a good one, guys, and see ya.
When they pull on the green, they're all Janners.